Audio Jungle.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are completely bypassing the standard Marvel playbook. We're stepping into a world that was really defined by its willingness to just, burn everything down and start over. Earth 1610, the ultimate universe.
Oh, yeah. It's where creators took these characters we all know and just twisted their origins into something new, something often much, much darker.
And if you want to talk about menace,
Mm.
you have to look past Bruce Banner for a minute.
Exactly. We are diving into the history of the original Gamma powerhouse of that universe, a man named Tyrone Cash. This is the guy Nick Fury himself said was better than Banner.
Which is saying something. I mean, the ultimate Nick Fury does not hand out compliments.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to track the trajectory of this character, Tyrone Cash. He's basically a dark mirror to everything the Hulk mythology stands for. It's a study in control, genius, and just total moral bankruptcy.
And for you listening, it's important to note Tyrone Cash is just an alias. The man's real name was Professor Leonard Williams. He wasn't just a brilliant scientist. He was Bruce Banner's mentor at Cambridge. His whole story, it just sets the stage for this tragic, calculated failure. It shows what happens when you give all that power to a bitter, self-loathing mind that decides to use it for himself.
We're not just tracing a timeline here. We're analyzing a choice. Williams chose to be a supervillain crime lord for 16 years. We're going to unpack the personal hatred that fueled his transformation, explore the criminal empire he built, and then get into his forced recruitment onto a black ops squad.
And the ending, the final twist that led to his defeat is it's incredible. It comes from a character you would never, ever expect to win that fight.
Okay, let's unpack this.
So, to start, you have to picture Professor Leonard Williams at Cambridge. He's this top-tier British scientist, and he's deep into trying to recreate the super soldier serum. It's the same thing Banner was after, but Williams was way ahead. And the sources are really clear on this. He was driven by this profound insecurity.
An insecurity that came from a physical disability, right?
Exactly. It's never specified what it was, but he used crutches. And this fueled a hatred for his own body. So for him, the science wasn't just academic. It was this desperate quest for physical perfection.
And that dynamic is the entire engine for his character. It directly shakes Bruce Banner, too. I mean, Williams taught Banner everything he knows. They both shared this self-loathing about their bodies and made their work obsessive, They weren't just making a weapon for the military. They were trying to cure themselves.
And Williams gets there first. He perfects the serum. But unlike the Gamma accident that created Banner's Hulk, Williams creates a stable substance. Later, it's refined into a pill, a drug. When he takes it, he transforms. He becomes the ultimate Hulk. But, and this is the critical part, he keeps his genius intellect. He keeps his identity. He's in complete self-control.
He's a thinking, strategizing, 100-ton powerhouse.
Yeah.
And the power level is it's absurd. We're talking strength that's pushing, near the 100-ton mark. His durability was so insane that later, when SHIELD tried to drill into his skull, they couldn't. The drills just broke.
He had a healing factor, resistance to extreme temperatures, and he could run over 200 miles an hour.
So you have a super genius mind paired with this catastrophic physical power. That makes him arguably the most dangerous weapon on the planet.
It's not just the scale of the powers, though. What makes him so terrifying, what really separates him from Banner's Hulk, is that cold, calculating genius is still pulling the levers.
It's not chaos.
No, it's a very precise application of catastrophic force.
Yeah.
And that precision is what leads to his immediate moral collapse.
Right. So did he use this perfect new body to, help people, serve his country?
Absolutely not. The second he transforms, he kills several people at the university, his own colleagues, then he stages his own death.
Wow.
He lets the world, including his wife, Kate, and his young son, Jamie, believe Professor Williams is dead and gone.
He used his power not to save the world, but to just escape.
Yeah.
To escape accountability.
And that escape kicks off the defining period of his life, 16 years of pure, self-imposed villainy. He adopts the alias Tyrone Cash and uses his brain and his brawn to build this massive international crime empire.
Yeah, he wasn't some, brute smashing things. He was a strategist. The comics show him murdering and pillaging across Africa and Asia, just consolidating power. And eventually he settles down as a gang leader in South America. Argentina.
And he's not just, beating the local drug lords. He's executing them, taking their fortunes, their mansions, their entire lives. He even takes their wives. He's basically a petty king in his own little kingdom.
So he's ruling this brutal fiefdom. But here's the crazy part. SHIELD knew. They knew he was active for all 16 of those years.
Yes. His genius intellect let him evade the U.S. government even while he was committing wanton murder and mayhem on a global scale, hiding in plain sight for almost 2 decades just by outthinking everyone.
Okay, so that raises the question. Why did Nick Fury, the ultimate pragmatist, wait so long? And then after 16 years, why send only one man to get him?
Well, Fury finally decides he needs cash for his new Black Ops team, Project Avenger. So he sends in James Rhodes, War Machine.
All the way to Argentina to drag him back?
And this confrontation is one of the most brutal displays of Cash's power in the entire Ultimate Universe. War Machine shows up with all this stark tech, but Cash is just, he's too strong, too smart, too fast. He just dismantles the armor piece by piece.
The level of violence is just horrifyingly casual. He smashes Rhodes with a Jeep, a regular Jeep.
And then he grabs a civilian airplane right out of the sky.
Big plane.
Plucks it right out of the air. The comics are very clear that he has zero remorse for the pilot inside. He just uses the fuselage like a baseball bat against the War Machine armor.
That is next level villainy. It shows that his intellect just makes him more effective, more malicious. He's not driven by rage. He's driven by a total lack of empathy.
And the two of them are trading these blows with so much force that the shockwaves are felt 1,000 miles away.
So how do you stop that?
You don't. Physically, you can't. Rhodes realized he had to switch tactics. He had to go for psychological warfare. He went after the one thing Williams had tried to protect for 16 years.
His past?
His past. The blackmail is the turning point. Rhodes threatens to find Cash's family, his wife Kate, his son Jamie, and tell them that Professor Leonard Williams isn't dead.
That he's actually a global crime lord.
Exactly. And the guy who has committed countless murders, who has terrorized entire continents, is stopped cold by the threat of disappointing the family he abandoned.
That reveals this huge paradox at his core, doesn't it? This absolute ruthlessness, but also this fragile vulnerability tied to the very identity he tried to kill.
It worked instantly. Cash just gives up. He allows himself to be taken into SHIELD custody to serve on Fury's team.
And he's immediately put to work. They call him the Dark Avenger, his first big mission. Assassinate the Ghost Rider, who was going after rich people.
Cash's immorality made him the perfect tool for Fury's dirty work.
And this mission, it just reinforces that internal conflict in him. When he confronts Ghost Rider, we get this really profound glimpse into his soul.
Right, because the Rider tries to use the penance stare. He looks into Cash's being, and he doesn't see pure evil. He sees a suppressed genius. A brilliant man who consciously chose a path of cruelty for money and power.
So the monster, the gangster, it's all just a facade that this brilliant mind is operating.
A very effective facade. Cash knocks the Ghost Rider out, completes the mission, but his nature doesn't change. Fury, true to his word, sends him back to his base in South America.
But that freedom doesn't last long.
Not at all. He immediately goes back to his old ways. He's caught selling SHIELD-owned super soldiers, the very thing he helped create on the black market.
Yeah.
And that's what kicks off the big Ultimate Avengers versus New Ultimates event.
Which brings us to the real aha moment of this whole story. The final confrontation. How do you stop a nearly invincible, super fast, super smart Hulk? You don't bring a bigger gun.
No. Nick Fury realizes conventional force is useless, so he brings in the ultimate wild card, Blade, the vampire hunter.
Which, on paper, that sounds absurd.
Completely absurd. What's a guy with a sword gonna do against a 100-ton gamma powerhouse? Blade knew his usual tricks. Silver stakes would be totally useless.
So he changed the game. He didn't fight the body. He fought the mind.
Exactly. He used hypnosis. Yeah, it's this fascinating deep cut from classic vampire lore that Blade almost never uses, especially not in the mainstream comics. It's a purely psychological attack.
And Cash, with all his genius, he realizes what's happening just a second too late.
Blade just needed that one moment of distraction, and the result is stunning.
It doesn't beat him up. It just...
a mess.
It neutralizes him. It robs him of his strength by forcing him back into his elderly, frail human form. The Hulk serum just wears off.
Blade defeated one of the biggest physical threats in the universe without lifting a finger. He defeated the mind, and the body just followed. It's the ultimate irony for a guy who was all about intellectual control over his body.
His own self-control became his greatest weakness.
And he's captured, brought to the helicarrier for interrogation.
His final act is perfectly in character. Under interrogation, he lies. He says Carol Danvers is the one selling SHIELD secrets.
Right, a complete fabrication to deflect from the real traitor, Gregory Stark, but also just to save his own skin by offering what he thinks is valuable intel.
But Fury is even more ruthless. Williams gives up the secrets of his perfected Hulk drug, the chemical formula, and that was the last thing Fury needed from him.
Once Fury had the IP, he had no more use for the professor.
So Nick Fury just executes him, right there. Ends the story of the first Ultimate Hulk.
So what does this all mean for you, listening? Tyrone Cash, Leonard Williams. He represents the most successful but also the most terrifying version of the Ultimate Hulk. He's the one who mastered the rage.
But that intellect didn't lead to anything good. It just made him a more focused, more effective villain. He used his power with strategic malice to build an empire. He wasn't like Banner's chaotic rampages. He was pure, calculated criminal efficiency.
He's this chilling what-if scenario for the Hulk. What if the gamma power doesn't break the mind, but just supercharges the ego and the bitterness that was already there?
And for me, the most crucial twist isn't the fight with War Machine or his years as a crime lord. It's how he was defeated. This brilliant man who evaded the whole world for 16 years, this physical powerhouse who could smash airplanes, he was ultimately taken down not by a punch, but by words, by suggestion.
Hypnosis, the simplest, most classic supernatural trick in the book.
All that physical superiority he craved was just negated by a psychological trick that targeted the one thing he thought he controlled, his own mind.
It's a fascinating statement on power.
Yeah. What does it say about the balance of power in the Ultimate Universe that a genius-level superhuman tank could be defeated by a simple, well-timed mental weakness? Something to think about.
If you want to see this story for yourself, you have to check out the Ultimate Comics Avengers runs. It is a wild, unrelenting ride.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive.
Until next time.